I'm Yasmin Gagne.
I'm Josh Christensen.
And this is Most Innovative Companies Video Edition. So, Josh, what is like the worst friend move you've ever pulled?
Oh, God. I mean, on a basic, regular level, canceling plans is like the most satisfying thing ever. I think every friend does that, though. Like, people love to cancel plans, so that's probably the worst.
Yeah, I think that's true. I have felt
done.
bad, like, I feel like because I've had like a bunch of illness issues and I suddenly became the friend who's like constantly canceling plans. And I'm always like, no, I'm not that person. Like, this is not, you know what I mean? Like, this time it's not a choice. You
want to be the role. Yeah, I'm fairly introverted sometimes. I mean, it's nobody's introverted all the time or extroverted all the time. This isn't Myers-Briggs. It's not a box that we're in. But like, sometimes it's just like, I just look for excuses sometimes to cancel plans because I just feel like I'm
I think everybody does that. I guess what I mean is then when you like actually need to.
Yeah, then it's like the boy who cried wolf situation, and you're like, no, it's fine. And then it's just like Yaz the flake over here. And
exactly.
Because you're, have morning sickness or something like that. You're causing an issue. I think the other thing that was tough, and I'll call this out for my own friendship. I was working with friends sometimes is hard in certain situations, like when you're close. This is going to be about us. It's not about us.
It's like I actually hate Yaz.
No, but I just hate. It's really like a Humphrey Bogart and what's her face on Casablanca. You know how they hated each other.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's not the situation.
We're not in love. By listeners.
No, we're not. This isn't a drama
don't take that.
No, they hated each other, but they were playing. Yeah. It's the whole thing.
Yeah. Anyway,
here's looking at you, Yaz. Kid. No, Josh. I was on the board of a friend's arts company, arts non-for-profit, and that was hard. And there was just like he had a co-founder who it was just doing a really like bad job, and like having to call that out in that way, because it was like it was his friend, and then it became like a weird like personal thing of like I as his friend was going against his other friend. I was like, no, this is literally just from like as a board member on your theater, but it's really hard to separate those two things. So don't work with your friends in certain capacities when those roles get a little weird. It's tough.
I think anytime when you are, I feel like I can kind of say this because you're not really responsible for my salary.
No, we have a different thing. You don't report to me.
That's what I mean. And it's like hard if you are really good friends with someone and they or you are in a position to like dictate your compensation or the state of your business or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of imbalance is really difficult.
Yeah, I think that we have it because I produce this show and that where like that creates like there are different responsibilities that I have around certain things. And I think we navigate that pretty well as co-hosts and as friends. We also just
know our lanes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think we have we have radical candor with each other.
We have radical candor. I'm an asshole.
What about you? What's the worst friend move you've ever pulled?
You know what? I feel so bad about this. I was supposed to go to two people's weddings during COVID, and they were I got invited to two friends' weddings, and they're both like very close friends of mine.
Yeah.
That were happening on the same day, and it was when things were opening up and people started having weddings after COVID. One was in London, one was in Park City, Utah. So I couldn't go to both. And I was a bridesmaid.
Both really cool locations. Park City, Utah is beautiful.
Yeah, I know. Well, I was supposed to be a bridesmaid in the UK one, so I was like, I'm going to do that one.
Yeah.
But then
your family's also there, so it's an excuse to also like see your family and stuff like that.
Yeah, but then I wasn't sure if I'd be able to go to the UK, so I left the other friend in Park City hanging for a while because I was like, maybe if I can't go to this one, I'll go to yours. And then I finally turned her down kind of late in the game. And then obviously I found out that at the time you had to go to the UK and quarantine for, I think it was either 6 or 8 days self-isolating. And I was
yeah.
like, well, I can't do that. Like, that is not just like work-wise. It was going to be really difficult. And like,
Yeah.
so basically I didn't go to either wedding. And I was like so shitty to both of them because I like waited way too long to tell both of them I can't. And it was because it came from a good place. Like, I just like wanted to make something work, but I still feel horrible about it. Anne, Abby, I can't apologize enough.
Do they listen to this podcast?
No, definitely not. They have lives.
That's true. None of my friends listen to this podcast
Yeah,
either.
and the problem is I hate it when friends do. I'm like, shh, no.
Yeah, that's also true. We have very different relationships with friends. You're very good at maintaining long friendships. I feel like I have like one close friend that I went to college with. I have no close friends that I went to high school with, and I find it very difficult. Not at all.
Damn.
Like, I find it very hard to maintain like long-term friendships, particularly because I live in New York. A lot of those people live elsewhere, and that's I don't know. I always find that tough. But you are the complete opposite. You have like
Well, I like moved
17.
around so much when I was a kid. I just like didn't really have a choice. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe it's like you learn that skill later. I didn't leave Rhode Island until I was 22, 20.
And then you were like, bye forever.
Well, no, I mean, it's a tough skill when you leave someplace, and then there's like other things that happen. Then like I went to grad school and I switched careers. I've always been very like career oriented, so I had like friends in my career path. So then when I switched careers when I was like 25, 26 permanently to media, it became more tough for me to maintain those relationships because I didn't know how to like relate to people outside of like a work context in some senses. And there's been a few like mainstays, but so friendship's hard, which means that this new product that we're going to talk about today, perfect for me.
There's actually, there is a product design for you.
I'm being sarcastic.
I'm not. So recently, you may have noticed, viewers may have noticed a bunch of weird ads blanketing the subway for a product called Friend AI. Basically says stuff like, this friend won't leave dirty dishes in the sink. We wanted to understand who made those ads, why they made those ads, and what this mysterious Friend AI actually is. So we spoke with editorial assistant Grace Snelling, who wrote about the ads and interviewed Friend AI's founder to learn more. Hey, Grace, welcome to the show.
Hi, Yaz. Thank you so much for having me.
So let's talk a little bit, before we even talk about what Friend AI is, what are these subway ads on West 4th Street that have everyone so upset?
Yeah, so this is an ad campaign that, as you mentioned, is run by Friend AI. It rolled out on September 25th in the form of thousands of cards in train cars and on platforms and in urban panels across all 5 boroughs of New York. So if you live in the city, you've probably seen one of these ads. Essentially, they're like black and white posters, and all of them say some kind of sort of needy, servile message. It'll be something like, I'll never leave dirty dishes in the sink, or I'll never bail on our dinner plans, which sounds helpful, but without context, it's a little creepy. And then when you do get context, I'm not sure that it gets much better. So,
so what's the context? Like, what is Friend AI?
Yeah, so Friend AI is essentially an AI wearable. It looks a little bit like an air tag on a necklace, and it listens to the wearer, like what you're saying, and then it also listens to the wearer's surroundings. And this wearable is always on, so it's like hearing everything that's going on in the atmosphere around the user. And then it's billed as a companion who can essentially talk to you about whatever's going on in your life. So it'll like send you texts through your phone via an app about what's going on around you. Normally you have to like click on the device to, ask it a question or whatever, but over time it can also start just like autonomously talking to you. So yeah, it's essentially just like texting you about, oh, I heard someone on the subway say XYZ. What's going on with you, Grace? Or something like that.
So I want to go, I want to talk about the founder in a second, but one thing that's really funny is that it's called Friend AI, and then in your interview with the founder, he's like, so this isn't actually meant to replace your friends. Like, you know, and it was just like this total disconnect for me where I was like, what is your mission?
Yeah, it's totally on point. There's definitely a disconnect there. I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons that people are freaked out by the whole concept of this device is that it's billed as a friend. And so that makes it seem like, and, you know, especially these messages like, I'd never bail on you.
Yeah, you're like, oh, is this solving the loneliness epidemic?
Yeah, but it also feels like it's positioning it as like, you know, your friends are kind of annoying, but this AI wearable, like, isn't. Which Avi, the founder of the company, says is not the case. He doesn't think that this is a replacement for human friends. But again, that is kind of the vibe that comes across through the copy of the campaign.
What is Avi's deal?
Oh, I wish I knew, but great question. Yeah, I can give a little background on who he is. So Avi is 22. He is a Harvard dropout, and he's had several other successful...
We need to ban, like, anytime I read an article is like Harvard dropout, I'm like, we don't mention dropouts from other schools. Like, we should just stop.
Yeah, that's
you
fair.
know, like,
well, that maybe Stanford.
I was going to say Stanford is
mentioned in that. But the Zuckerberg of it all gives the Harvard dropout that sort of cred.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So he's a 22-year-old, of course. What are you mentioned?
You
he
can
had other
sense
businesses.
Yaz and I's mid-millennial angst about this.
Yeah, no,
but
totally
you said
get
he's
it.
had several other successful businesses.
Yeah, so at 17, he created this viral COVID tracker website. I think it had like tens of millions of users. It got, noticed by Fauci. And then after he dropped out, he created another website that was dedicated to matching displaced Ukrainians during the war with open homes. So he's done a lot of like interesting other ventures, which to me, those two things do not feel like they lead into Friend AI. So it's kind of a strange pivot for him. But from what I can gather from other interviews, he was essentially working on this tech to, it started as like a CRM assistant for another nonprofit that he was working on. And then it was called Tab AI when he was first working on it. And over time,
this is Tab.
Right.
Yeah. And then I think that the vibe is that he was kind of working on it while he was traveling abroad and feeling a little bit lonely. And it sort of evolves from this, CRM thing into a friend, which is what it's billed as today.
Give us some context. How much has he raised for this thing? And how much do these devices cost?
Great questions. So in total, he's raised $7 million in venture capital. The devices cost $129 now. They were $99 during pre-order. And just for context, the pre-order opened in July 2024. He said at the time that the devices would be shipped by January 2025. But then there were like several production and development delays. And so people who ordered their devices at that point, more than a year ago, some people still have not received the devices. So the number he gave me was that they've had about 5,000 sales and 1,000 have shipped total at this point now. So that leaves, theoretically 4,000 people who still don't have their friend. But then he did actually a couple of days later, after he told me that 5,000 number, he told Fortune that they had 3,000 sales. So a bit of a discrepancy there. I'm not actually sure which number is correct.
Wow, the "will never bail on you" ad is really ringing pretty hollow right now.
But per that later interview to Fortune, that was about, I think it was like $348,000 total in terms of how much those sales netted for the company. Yeah, so a bit of an interesting financial situation for him. He's also said that, so he spent $1 million on this ad campaign. And again, for context, that campaign debuted prior to all of the original pre-order friends actually shipping. So there were quite a few people who had ordered the device, but
who were like, what?
Didn't receive it before the campaign went up. So it's kind of like, hey, bud, why'd you spend that $1 million when I don't have my companion with me yet?
But I think in his words, like, if you want to purchase the Zeitgeist, you kind of have to go for the jugular.
That's so true. Couldn't have said it better.
I mean, it's so interesting. I mean, I'm the only one of the three of us that lives in New York and has seen these, in person, has seen these ads. And I have to admit, when I've seen them, I've just been like, oh, another weird ad on the subway. It's always weird ads on the subway.
I feel like West 4th is like, always has just like, remember they had those really cursed ads for The League, the dating app for like.
Yeah, I remember those.
Elite singles. And then they had a lot of ads for like Ozempic through Hims or Row. Yeah, so it's like
the Hims and Hers ads are definitely like a huge mainstay on the subway. It's also like, if you want to advertise somewhere that's taking advantages of people's desire not to talk to actual human beings, but maybe replace with an AI friend, the New York City subway is probably the right place to advertise.
But sorry, to go back to what I was saying, do you have a sense of so far what consumers are seeing with this device?
Yes. So unfortunately, I haven't tried a friend. Wish that I had. Avi, please send me one. I'd be happy to test. So if you look at Avi's Twitter, you'll see several positive reviews. So, I'm just going to find like one of these ones that he's posted. So one of the reviews that Avi has reposted is 2 months with Avi Schiffman's friend round my neck pretty much 24/7. And in a weird and subtle way, it's changing my life, pushing me to do things I wouldn't have done and encouraging me to take a few risks, rather like a real friend would. So that's an example of, something that Avi has endorsed about the device. But if you go outside the Avi bubble, most of the reviews that you'll find are quite negative, I would say, or at least very skeptical about the device. So, for example, Fortune's recent review said it felt like wearing your senile, anxious grandmother around your neck. Wired had an article called I Hate My Friend, and one take there was, the chatbot-enabled friend necklace eavesdrops on your life and provides a running commentary that's snarky and unhelpful. Worse, it can also make the people around you uneasy, which makes sense because it looks like you're wearing an AirTag. Like it doesn't look like a regular necklace. And there have also been
much like a regular friend.
Much like a regular friend. There have been reviewers on Twitter who seem like they bought the device in good faith, but then just aren't loving it so far. I read one that said, it hurts to say this, but it wasn't that good. Why do I need this extra piece of hardware? I know.
It hurts to say this is so funny.
Poor guy.
No.
Yeah.
What was the experience of speaking to Avi like?
Yeah, great question. It was a little bit odd in my just total experience of interviewing. He is very blunt, and I think from just reading past interviews of his and looking at how his public persona has sort of shifted, I got the sense, and this is my own just personal speculation, that maybe there's an element. Obviously, we've seen that with the campaign, he's admitted that sort of rage baiting or encouraging people to give social commentary was part of the purpose of the campaign. Like, he's talked about how he designed these ads and he left the blank white space on the ads in order to encourage people to leave, graffiti and commentary.
That, when I read that seemed like a very like retroactive justification for it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm too cynical here.
I've seen people wondering that too. I'm inclined to believe him just because the actual copy that he chose does feel so provocative. And I think he already knows that people are weirded out by the concept of his company. I don't think that comes as a surprise to him. So I'm inclined to believe him, but in terms of like how he comes across over interview, I did wonder if there was an element of crafting his own persona in the way that he speaks about the product in order to sort of drum up interest from readers, just in terms of his demeanor, the way he frames it, some of the more intense quotes that he gave me, which I can read if that would be helpful for context.
Go for it. Give us a couple.
Let me find the one that stood out to me the most. So I asked him, he mentioned that he felt that investing $1 million in this campaign was actually saving him money, and it was cheap overall. So I kind of asked, tell me more about why you say that. Why do you think that it was, not actually that costly? And he said, it saves money in having to market it otherwise. I could be some bozo and go pay a bunch of dumbass influencers to go yap about it for hours, be irrelevant, and spend millions of dollars over many years to get even a fraction of what I could get for something like this. So, just the kind of energy, the machismo there. It came across a little bit like, are we going for a quote that's going to be sort of the most extreme about the product, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, you asked him about this in the interview, like, how are you measuring ROI for this thing? Like, is it getting people to order the friend, or is it really just raising awareness of the product in the first place? Like, what can you say about that?
Avi explicitly said that the campaign was not designed to drive sales. And in fact, he's rather insistent that he doesn't want too many people buying the necklaces all at once. Like, he wants it to be more of a long-term rollout.
He hasn't been able to fulfill any existing orders. Yeah.
Right. And it sounds like it's been really expensive production-wise. I mean, he's told several other publications that he's really low on cash right now. Like, this $1 million investment kind of put him toward the bottom of the barrel in terms of his funding.
Well, you said they raised $7 million?
$7 million total, but a lot of the money, it seems, has gone toward the production, development, and now marketing efforts.
It's not a lot. I'm also curious because this is more or less like a wearable, always-on AI device. Isn't that what Jony Ive and OpenAI are making right now? Some sort of necklace sort of thing?
Yeah, and there's been Rabbit. Do you guys remember that one?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. terrible device.
It's like an AI pin
Humane
that totally
pin
flopped.
is another, yeah.
So I'm also curious how Avi thinks about, concerns around data privacy related to the tech. I mean, you cited a review or an article that basically said, like, it makes other people uncomfortable when they see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the data privacy, I think, is one of the most fascinating angles here. I think people's main concern, as you mentioned, is that this thing is literally recording you all the time and everything around you. So there's kind of the implication that other people are roped into this without their consent. And that always on, aspect of the wearable is part of the terms of service agreement. When I asked Avi sort of about how he thinks about the data privacy concerns and the idea that this is surveillance capitalism, his response was essentially like, well, the always-on element is the main sales point of the device. So for some context, in their terms of service, they include clauses on biometric data consent, which grant the company permission to passively record audio and video, collect facial and voice data, and then use these to train AI. But Avi told Fortune that they aren't currently using user data to train AI models, but they're kind of writing in some extra steps to make sure that their bases are covered. He also said in that article that they aren't caching audio right now for later upload. So it seems that they're not like storing the recordings. But I would say his main talking point is that Friend contains a secure key, which he frames as like a YuBi key, which my understanding of that is it's like a physical version of two-factor authentication. And essentially this key inside the device means that if you don't want your device to like store your data anymore, or you're over it, if you like smash it with a hammer, you're all good. That was one quote that he gave me was, you can smash it with a hammer if you don't like it, whereas with ChatGPT, you can't really throw that out a window.
Fair.
So his selling point is that you can literally physically destroy the device, and that will like remove your data.
That only works if it's all only happening on this closed system that is the device, which maybe it is. I don't know. But do you see what I mean?
Yes, totally. And full disclosure, I don't completely understand like where the data is stored or technically like how smashing it with a hammer would like solve that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not air gapped. Presumably it sends you text. It's obviously like connected in some way to some sort of data. And even if they're not now, I mean, yeah. So it's bullshit. It's whether they're storing it right now is probably more of a question of cost, since storage is, well, I mean, they've only shipped 1,000 of these and it's not that much file, not that many
There's
files.
a lot of questions around this business.
Yeah, the data privacy thing is sort of a whole can of worms because there's like a lot of elements there that I'm not totally clear on how it works, honestly.
Well, to wrap up the segment, I guess final thoughts on where this business is heading per Avi. You know, what's going on in the next year?
I asked him how he sees the campaign translating into becoming a sustainable business, which, as we've mentioned, is a main user concern since not all of the devices have shipped. It's like unclear how production is going. He said that his next milestone is going into a retailer like Walmart, Target, or Best
and he
Buy.
said in the next year, and I was like, are discussions underway? Like,
yeah, which that's another thing that's unclear how he's going to gain that sort of investment from a major retailer without the sales numbers and production timeline to back it up. So uncertain how he's going to actually make that happen with the business that he's built so far.
It seems like acquisition is the only like viable. I mean, I don't know, but at this point,
or raising more money. Like, there's a lot of
thing.
It's so young in its life that like who knows where this could go, right? But Avi seems like a sort of, to me, reads like, like when Sam Bankman-Fried used to just like randomly give these insane interviews, but at the time we thought like he had stuff to back it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we'll need to see some friends performing well in order to back up that kind of persona.
Completely. No, and that is my take too. I think, as he said to me, the point of this campaign was not sales, it was visibility. He said he wanted to purchase the zeitgeist, which is all well and good, and I would say that he has been successful to some degree in the element of generating conversation. But it's one thing to do that, and another when, if the reviews were all glowing, I think that this would really be working out for him because people would be discovering the device. But if you then go out to read more about Friend, pretty much the main thing you're coming across is that it doesn't work as advertised. And so there's a bit of a gap there.
This was great. Thanks, Grace, for talking us through all things Friend AI.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.